Welcome to Daily 5 for Thursday, February 8th, 2024. I don't think it's any secret if you've listened to the show for a while that I have been pretty disinterested in the output from Marvel Studios for, well, really since Endgame, outside of watching Loki Season 1, which my wife and I both enjoyed. We both thought it was good. I love the visuals. The narrative was fine too, although I think I've said I've never been the biggest fan of Kang, and I don't know where Kang's going, if he's going anywhere, but I've never really been that invested in that character. So Loki Season 1 was more of watching it for the Loki characters, the Tom Hiddleston, and I don't remember the actress's name who played the female variant of Loki. They were very good, and it looked beautiful. So we had a good time with Loki, but it also felt like something where you went, I don't know, we might have to, this might not go anywhere where we're interested in going, but a fun time. Outside of that, though, honestly, burned out. Don't care. Wife's the same way. We just really haven't had any interest in it. But I did see that Marvel had said that they were going to start doing spotlight series. I think I talked about this on either a 5 or maybe in the show, where you wouldn't have to have a backlog of knowledge about the Marvel Cinematic Universe to be able to enjoy the shows. And I thought that was, number one, a great idea. But then I saw the reviews for this series called Echo, and many of them were quite good. And a lot of them were saying things that piqued my interest. In particular, that it was a small-scale story, and that it was a well-written series of characters that you actually cared about. And I thought, okay, that's something I like in my movies and my entertainment, so maybe we'll give this thing a shot. Then I looked at the fact that it's only 5 episodes, 3.5 hours. I don't even know if it's technically even 3.5 hours. It's close. And I thought, okay, this is a series we could just go through in the course of a week. 1 episode a night or in the course of a weekend over a couple of days. And my wife seemed interested. She'd never heard of it, which I wasn't really surprised about. I thought, okay, let's watch it. And just to say off the top, I don't know that you necessarily shouldn't read at least what happened in Hawkeye, or the beginning of this series might be a little confusing. My wife was a bit lost. I guessed at things correctly, but it doesn't really matter. Once you get past the opening, which throws a lot at you very, very quickly, and basically kind of a Hawkeye summary form, but missing, I think, a few key details. Outside of that, it really doesn't matter. Once they get past that point, you're not really going to care that you didn't see Hawkeye, but you might be a little bit lost in the initial part of the first episode. After that, it really takes off on its own, and it becomes a, frankly, excellent little series. And this actually has me the most interested in Marvel than I've been in quite a while, having watched something where I watched it and went, okay, good. They can still tell these types of stories. We don't need everything to be a threat to the multiverse or the entire galaxy or all of existence. We can do small-scale stories. This feels very much like the Daredevil series on Netflix. Like, it's street level. It's small. It's got characters that you can follow and that you get to know. And it takes almost entirely place in a little town in Oklahoma. And as far as we can tell, that's largely the biggest threat that any of the events will present, is to this one little town and the people within it, who you get to know and understand. And that's really great. Plus, and this I was not expecting, because we've talked on the show, and I think most people are aware, that there is a Marvel formula where you kind of know how these movies are going to unfold, and they largely stick to it. And so when we got to the end of the series, my wife and I both kind of had an idea of what was going to happen, and that's not what happened. The series took a very different direction for its resolution, and it's frankly a really great one. So all in all, we were both really impressed with this series. My wife, I think, even more so than I, because she didn't even know it existed. And me, because I was burned out on this stuff, and I just didn't know that Marvel had these stories left in them. And this is a really good example of something where I wish Marvel, maybe they will. Maybe this is the beginning of them doing more stuff like this. They seem to be kind of reversing course on where they were taking the Daredevil character. They seem to be leaning back towards the Netflix stuff, which was, I think, really well received and well liked. So that might be an indication. And the reviews of this have been very good. I don't know what its numbers are as far as streaming or anything like that, but it's been reviewed fairly well as far as I've seen. And we had a really good time with it. So honestly, this is probably the most promising thing that I've seen Marvel Studios put out since Endgame. Again, we liked Loki Season 1, but it didn't really break the mold on anything. It was fun, but it didn't feel like it was all that substantial difference from what Marvel was doing in general. But this does feel like a good course correction on how Marvel is going to approach storytelling. I really hope it is. I would like to see more stuff like this. And Werewolf by Night, that one-off, that was great too. But that's, that was a one-off. So I'm hoping this is a sign of where at least part of Marvel is going to go. They can have the big movies, that's fine too, but if they have more of these small-scale stories, then you can count me in on them, because this was great. Later.